From Eyewitness News, this is Newsmakers.
Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. The leaders of two major institutions of higher education in Rhode Island are moving on at Bryant University and Providence College. At PC, Father Bryant Shanley has been the longest serving president in the college's history. Despite getting unanimous support from the Board of Trustees for another 5-year term, his order, the Dominican province of St. Joseph, decided to make a change. My colleague Mike Montecalvo spoke with Father Shanley for this reflection on 15 years as leader of Providence College.
So you've been here 15 years. Did it go by like at the blink of an eye? How fast did it go by for you?
Sometimes I feel like it was yesterday, and sometimes I feel like it's like dog years that I've been the president for 75 years. So depending on my mood, it feels both short and long.
It's going through your mind right now. You're at the end of it.
Well, it's not the way I would have wanted to go out in the middle of a pandemic where it's the world as we've never seen it before, and higher ed faces extraordinary challenges. And I've been working on that nonstop for 2 months, and now I'm going to start cleaning out my office and figuring out what to do with my books and things like that. So it's kind of weird.
Talk about maybe some of your favorite memories here at 15 years.
Well, I think the most thrilling moment for me was when we won the NCAA hockey championship in 2015. I'm not allowed to say that because sports is not obviously the most important thing, but if you ask me my single best moment, it was sitting in the Garden, and when the red light went on and we were national champions in hockey, I was just jumping up and down. And so sports gives unique thrills. So I would say as moments go, that was probably the most thrilling moment for me.
Talk a little bit about the pandemic. It has been devastating for so many people. Loved ones pass away, 5 people at a funeral. That's horrible. It's never a good time to grieve, but it's been tough for kids for school too. I think kids have realized that, you know what, we need to be on campus. We love being on campus. The remote learning only goes so far. What's been the major challenge for you?
Well, I think, keeping education, we had to pivot within the space of about a week from the in-person experience to an online learning environment. And that was tough on our faculty and on our students. And one of the ironic things I think that's coming out of this is that, people used to talk about the future of higher ed being MOOCs, these massive online courses, and that online learning was the future. And now everybody's realizing the in-person experience, the holistic side of a campus education is something that our students are craving. And I'm watching them move in the neighborhood right now. It's when the rentals flip, and I wonder what the summer is going to be like for those students. And I feel badly for the seniors because they didn't get that closure moment of graduation. And so they've been in this period of grief. And I think that's really what's kind of broken my heart, is that they didn't get to go out of Providence College the way that they had hoped to.
Just like you.
Exactly.
Just like you. October 31st, is that your graduation?
That's our hope. We've got the dunk, but I don't know with crowd sizes and what phase we're going to be in then. It's still our hope and our prayer to be able to do it, but I don't know.
So moving forward with this pandemic and student recruitment, how do you go about doing that?
Well, it was tough to recruit this year because there were no on-campus visits. And what we know is that the on-campus visit is really the determinative thing. It's the feel or the vibe that you get when you walk on campus. And when we shut the campus down, that took that away. And now we did see people sneaking on campus to take a look around, but that's okay. But we ended up actually better than I thought we were going to be. We're about 5%, I think, down from where we were before. So it hurt us a little bit, but it's not a deal breaker.
Talk about the global economy and how PC looks at that.
Well, everybody thinks we're going into a recession. I know the president thinks it's going to be a V curve, but most of the stuff I've been reading has said it's not going to be a V curve. So all higher ed is going to be dealing with a recession economy for the next few years. And that's going to put pressure on every higher ed. And I think you're going to see some colleges closing in this year, actually, given whatever happens in the fall.
Let's talk about diversity for a second. It's something that you've tackled here on campus. right off the bat, when you've seen all the protests, they had 10,000 people in downtown Providence 2 Fridays ago, and you're watching that on television and you're seeing students, even high school kids now, becoming active. What are you thinking when you're looking at all of that?
Well, I'm thinking it's kind of sad that we had to get to this point to wake people up to the reality of racism in our country. And we've had our struggles on campus. We've become a more diverse campus in terms of our student body and also in terms of our faculty. But inclusion is different from diversity. You can have numbers, which is what diversity measures, but it doesn't measure a sense of belonging and of feeling like a full member of the community. And what we've seen now is a kind of testimony to the unfinished business that America has with the original sin of slavery.
So you hired the first chief of diversity officer. When you hired that person, what did you tell them you wanted done on campus?
I wanted the campus to look more like the world. We were too white and too middle class, and what I was hearing from our alumni is that the experience that they had when they were undergrads didn't really prepare them for the world that they were going into. So I want our students, while they're students here, to interact with people from different backgrounds from them. We learn the most when we meet people who come from a different background than us. And that's really what I was hoping to build, a campus where both professors and students would meet people who were not like them, because that's how you learn about the human experience.
That's the student population. You've changed the faculty population too to mirror that?
Yes. I mean, this year, if I'm remembering correctly, 6 out of our 10 hires were faculty of color.
That was important.
Yes.
To do this moving forward.
Especially if you recruit a more diverse student body, they need to see professors who look like them so they can aspire to be possibly professors in their own lives.
Some of those kids that come from South Providence or maybe the Bronx, New York, you mentioned the sticker price is not actually what they might pay, but you look at $65,000. For some of those kids, you look at $15,000. That might be too much. How do you attract those kids, minority kids or kids that are in their city, to say that PC could be the place you could learn from?
Well, we really do try to recruit Rhode Island kids, because first-generation students tend to not want to go too far away from home. So Pawtucket, Central Falls, Providence, East Providence, those are fertile territories for us. And I think the main thing you have to do is say, don't be scared by the sticker price. We have a lot of scholarship money. And if we can get them here and they can see the campus and we can assure them that we can do what we need to do financially, then we can recruit and attract those students.
So you said at the beginning you're a sports fan. You've made significant investments in the sports program. The average person looking at that is going to say, why are they spending so much on sports? Is that part of it, a national profile?
Yes. I mean, the primary value of sports has to be the student athlete's own learning. And I really do think that our student athletes learn something about life by playing a sport. And I've talked to enough of them to know it's a great value for them. But then there's a value to the school, because sports builds community. And sports also gives you a national profile. And when I go, I'm always wearing Friar gear everywhere, and I can't tell you how many times that somebody looks at my shirt and goes, "Oh, you guys play basketball?" And I go, "Yes, we do." And I think it's helped us recruit a more national student body by having the profile that we do. And I think the success of the Big East, with Villanova winning 2 national championships, has given our conference a profile that's helping us all academically.
Ed Cooley told me that he'll be loyal to you forever. What has he meant to you and the school?
Ed is one of the best hires we ever made. And I remember the moment sitting in a hotel room in New York City at a Big East tournament with Mike Tranghese and Bob Driscoll, kind of going through the list. And we had come up with our list of best coaches, and Mike had his list, and Ed Cooley was at the top of both lists. So it was a pretty easy choice, like, we got to get Cooley. And I remember meeting Ed for the first time at Bob Driscoll's house in North Kingston, and the charisma, the energy, the passion, the smarts. I love Ed Cooley, and it's been a blast what he's been able to do here. So Ed is, and again, like me, he's a hometown kid who's made good. He used to sneak into stuff here, and now he's the head coach, and he's He's the top dog on campus.
He doesn't have to sneak in anymore.
He does not. No, he can't. Everybody knows who he is.
So let's talk about some of the challenges that PC has moving forward here in the next 5 years. Obviously, you're leaving, but what do you see are the challenges for them to tackle?
I think, continuing diversity and inclusion and equity efforts here. I think this year, if we're back, it's going to be the #1 issue on our campus. And to deal with that issue in the context of an election year is going to be a very interesting challenge in the fall. I think affordability will always be a huge issue for college campuses. And I think one of the peculiar challenges that we're going to face here is that in a liberal arts college, with increasing pressure on return on investment, preserving the centrality of the humanities is going to be a real challenge for Providence College.
You didn't want to leave, did you?
No, it wasn't my choice.
Yeah, but it had to make you feel good that the Board of Trustees unanimously wanted you another 5 years, I think, right?
Yep.
And I know your order, they're the ones that make the decision. Were you surprised?
I was not shocked, no. No. I knew there was a possibility that the provincial, who's my boss, so to speak, might not let me do it again. And I was a little bit surprised when it happened, but I couldn't say I was shocked.
So what happens next? What do you want to do next? Do you want to be a president of a college somewhere else?
I've thought about that, and I've had some feelers about that. Right now, I just want to clear my head. I've had a pretty tumultuous last couple of years between the politics of the college. I lost my twin brother to bone cancer.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I need to just clear my head. I'm taking 6 months off. I'm going to read a ton of books. I'm going to pray a lot. I'm going to play as much golf as I possibly can. And I don't know, I've said to God, I'm done making plans in my life. So I'm hoping God says to me, here's a door that I want you to go down. And if it's another college presidency, it could be staying here. If there's something that is interesting here, I might stay here, or I don't know. And I'm okay. I don't need to make any decisions right now.
Providence College has seen a lot. Wars, the fire,
Yep.
what we're seeing happening with racial discrimination on campus. How does Providence College continue to keep moving?
Well, I think as a faith-based institution, you ultimately trust that God is going to help us figure stuff out. But I think in the climate that we're in right now, honesty is really, and this is where education is so important. There's a couple of books on the New York Times bestseller list that you can't buy right now. One of them is about anti-racism by Ibram Kendi up at Boston University. And the other one is on white fragility by Robin DiAngelo. And we had Robin DiAngelo on campus, and she's really interesting speaker about why white people have such a hard time talking about race and dealing with racism. And Kendi's book I read a little while ago, it's like a contraband product right now, and it reminds me how important ideas and education and understanding history really are for us to tackle the problems that we have. So I think higher ed has a really important role to play going forward in helping America deal with its legacy of racism.
So what are you going to miss the most?
Free swag? No.
I think you can still get it.
I'm going to miss two things. One is the people. First and foremost, the best part about this job is I have met amazing people that have really impacted my life. And then secondly, I didn't know this about myself, but I kind of like being in charge. And I'm going to miss not being able to make stuff happen in the way that I've been, particularly in a critical time for higher ed. So I think there's going to be a little bit of part of me, it's like anybody else who's dealing with having been in a position of great responsibility, you kind of miss it. But on the other hand, there's a part of me like, I'm getting out at a good time because there's going to be unique challenges. And I won't miss, I hope, the 24/7, 365, all you do is worry about Providence College. I'll still worry about it, but maybe not quite 24/7, 365.
You'll always be a Friars fan.
I will.
My thanks to Mike Montecalvo and congratulations to Father Shanley. Best of luck. When we come back, another collegiate exit interview with the outgoing president of Bryant University. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. After 24 years of leadership at Bryant University, Ron Machtley has decided it's time to retire. Last week, we sat down with Machtley on the university campus, which was a college when he became president. Here now is my colleague, Kate Walsh.
When Ron Machtley became president here at Bryant in 1996, it wasn't a university, but a college. Where I'm standing was a parking lot. Over his 24 years here, he's expanded the campus by 500,000 square feet of building space. And it's not just about building its physical footprint or the educational experience here. What I learned in his exit interview was it was about making the reputation of Bryant to what it is today around the world. So, over your tenure here, you've turned Bryant from a college into a university. Talk about that success and what it was like to make that a reality, going from college to university and expanding on all the programs that you offer.
Well, it doesn't happen just overnight. We had to develop both a strategy and a process. And what we have done is we have not only a College of Business, which we think is one of the finest in the country, but we have now a College of Arts and Science. So if you major in business, you have to minor in arts and science. If you major in arts and science, you have to minor in business. Because the left and the right side of the mind are going to be needed in the future, in the what I call the cognitive technology future that's coming very fast. And so we think that that was a great way to approach it. And the faculty were so collegial, collaborative. I mean, that's one of the things that has allowed us to do these things. It wasn't just a dictation, it was a collaborative effort on all of our parts to figure out how to do that. And so now our students are getting both degrees in biology and arts and science areas, as well as in the business areas, and they're minoring in the others. So it's a great combination.
Was that kind of your platform coming in, or your vision when you started as president here to make that transition and make Bryant a bigger university, I guess?
Unfortunately, when I got here, I may have been a little naive, but we had 5 empty dorms, and when I arrived, a deficit of $1.75 million. And so in my first year, it was really, how are we going to survive? How are we going to take what is a good school and make it great? And we began with a very modest 5-year strategic plan, which didn't have all of these facilities, didn't have the university, didn't have Division I as part of it. It was really just, how do we go from a struggle to success?
So we talked about accomplishments. What are some difficulties that you remember of trying to make all of this work, or potential setbacks along the way?
I remember on 9/11, just the fear, the concerns. We have a lot of students from New York. They had friends, family members who had died. We had some alums who were in the airplane who crashed. Sean Asani, who I knew as a student, he and his girlfriend died. So that was a difficult time, and we had to help the students to understand that life is not always pleasant, that we have to deal with death and tragedy and loss, and that was a hard time for, I think, all of us to go through. I think that the recession in 2008, 2009 was also a hard time, but just like businesses, we developed a strategy, we got our team together, and we made it through, and we're a stronger organization today.
Yeah, I was going to ask how this past semester was. I mean, that was a decision I think no one has ever had to make, just closing down campuses.
Right.
Talk about the decision to close down campus.
I never appreciated my past experience in the Navy, dealing with crisis, as a lawyer or in politics, as much as I did in having to deal with the COVID-19 crisis. I felt prepared to help our team get through it. We were one of the early schools to talk about, let's incrementally close to see how this works. So we didn't have our students come back after spring break. We had experience with teaching online, and so we brought all of our faculty back during spring break. And for a week, they voluntarily came back and worked with our teams to learn how to do online learning. remotely, and how to make not just online learning a success, but how to engage the students through Zoom calls and through other mechanisms. And so we really had a very successful end on a very quiet. I never would have scripted this is my last semester. I was in the office every day, and there were only about 3 or 4 of us that were actually on campus, and yet it worked really well. And we think we have a very good plan. We're going to bring our students back early in August, and we'll have the semester finished by Thanksgiving. And we have got a lot of safety protocols in place, and we'll continue as we learn more. This is a very still new virus, and we're learning a lot more every day. We've just spent a large amount of money so we can actually have our own tests here. We have to hire people so we can know within 45 minutes if anyone has a positive COVID case and not be dependent on an outside lab.
And will that be when they come back in the fall?
We'll have it.
To be tested
everyone will be tested if they have the symptoms. We already have a prototype on our cell phones that we built that you have to every day when you come through our gate. One of the advantages of this campus is that we have one main entrance. And so as you come in, you have to show the green check that you've affirmed you have no fever and none of the symptoms that CDC has indicated. And we tried to get these handheld thermometer guns that can tell if you have a temperature, because we know the students will be living here. They won't be just coming through our gate. So we'll have these strategic. No manufacturer had them that we couldn't find them. So we used our contacts in China, and we now have 100 of them on campus, and we'll have those deployed in strategic areas. And we look forward to, with the new president and the team, having a very successful and a good opening.
Yeah. The culture of politics nowadays, I mean, I'm just talking about other topics now because I want to hear your opinion on it.
Right.
What do you think about just, it seems like everything is very divisive and harsh, especially on social media. Is it the type of place in Washington that it was when you were there?
Not even close to the environment in which I participated. Just last night, I was going through some documents, and I found a letter that President Bill Clinton had written me because I helped when we were trying to find an omnibus crime bill. Then they appreciated, and we had Republicans and Democrats working together. Today, it's a screeching, bad situation that the parties and the individuals take everything too personal. You must think first of the country's best, not your individual best thoughts. And so I hope that this COVID-19, one of the byproducts, will be that we can develop a bipartisan, more collegial experience. Tip O'Neill used to have a come on over to the office every Friday afternoon before everyone headed out of Washington, and Republicans, Democrats were there. Chuck Schumer was a good friend of mine. We used to play basketball all the time. Tom Downey. There was not this friction and personal animosity that we see today. And no one would ever think of saying something publicly which was just mean and mean-spirited or derogatory about somebody that they just had a personal philosophical difference. In fact, one of my fondest memories of Washington and Congress was I would see people in the well arguing passionately for their position on various bills, and then they would walk out and arm in arm have lunch together. It was not personal. It was what they were trying to do for the betterment of the country, and I hope we'll get back to that.
All right, so after your retirement, you're not done. You're not just going to sit at your house,
No.
your new house.
No.
What will you be doing?
I know I can't just get up in the morning and walk around the house and have nothing to do. So I'm on some boards, corporate boards, some nonprofit boards. I will continue to work in some capacity. I'm still healthy and still anxious to do some other things. But I'm going to just let time and reflection help me to think about what it is I'll do. I would just say that of all the jobs I've had, the Navy, being a lawyer, Congress, being president, this has been the most rewarding because we have seen over 14,000 students graduate and have their lives transformed because of their education. That is very fulfilling. And I know Katie, my wife, and I will always look back at these years more than the accomplishments physically or monetarily, at the students we helped to be successful.
My thanks to Kate Walsh and congratulations to Bryant University's Ron Machtley, and thank you for watching. If you missed Mike Montecalvo's interview with Father Brian Shanley of Providence College from the first half, you can watch it right now on WPRI.com. I'd be remiss if I also didn't congratulate Michael Yolnowski, who wrapped up his 6-year term as Dean of Roger Williams University School of Law this month. He too took the helm at the law school during tight financial times. He decided to expand the academic program there. He has a great reputation among faculty, staff, and students alike. Dean Yolnowski, congratulations and enjoy your sabbatical. For everybody, once again, thank you for watching Newsmakers, and we'll see you next week.